One of the biggest things we hear from students is that they can't feel comfortable in no man's land or transitioning to the net because their volleys aren't good enough, because they're not getting up there fast enough. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is absolutely ridiculous to think that every time that you're transitioning to the net that you're going to hit your first volley inside the service line. And anyone that tells you that that is how it should be is crazy, because there are so many instances where the first volley might be in the middle of no man's land or might be behind the service line somewhere. So it's really important to understand that you don't have to rush into the net, especially if you're serving and volleying, if you're approaching and volleying, if you're hitting a short ball and volleying, anything to where you're coming in. It's not about how fast you get in, it's about the controlled and balanced way that you do make it into the net so that you can give yourself the best opportunity to win the point. So we're going to give you some examples here of, we're going to use Djokovic, we're going to use Raonic, and I'm going to use Ian as well. And I'm going to show you an awesome drill that you can do the next time you're in practice to work on this specific shot. So if we're looking at Djokovic here, and in this particular example, this is a practice where he's actually working on hitting a backhand and then following it in and hitting another couple volleys to win the point. So the first thing that you're going to see is him actually hitting a backhand approach, coming forward. After he comes forward, you're going to see him take a split step, and then right there, and then he's going to hit his first volley. So let's notice where his feet are when he's hitting this first volley. Right on the service line or right behind. So it's really important to understand, this is one example of him hitting the first volley behind the service line, and then he would follow it in after that. Because the goal of the first volley is to set yourself up for a good second volley, not to win the point. That's where the myth lies. If you think just running up there as fast as humanly possible and trying to put the ball away is going to be the best way to win the point, I'm sorry, you're going to make a lot of errors. It's all about being balanced and controlled and making sure that you're hitting the first volley anywhere that you hit it, maybe in the middle of no man's land, maybe on the service line, maybe behind the service line, but that you're hitting it controlled and in the placement that you're looking for so that you can follow it in and hit a good second volley. Now we're going to look at an example from Milos doing the same thing. So you're going to see he had hit a forehand ground stroke right before this, and now he's transitioning in to hit his first volley. And we're going to see right where his first volley is definitely behind the service line, a few feet actually behind the service line, probably towards the middle of no man's land. Then he's going to hit his volley and then transition in after he hits the ball to look for the next opportunity for his volley after that shot. So it's really important for you to understand that practicing from this area is also important, as we're going to see in the examples with Ian. So I asked Ian and Kevin to play some points, and I just videoed from the side. And you're going to see Ian come out to hit a forehand ground stroke, and then right away he's looking to transition. Now his split step is only a couple feet inside the baseline. Then he's going to transition and hit a first volley, which is well in the middle of no man's land, and then come forward to hit his second volley inside the service line. The goal is to cover as much ground in between the shots that you hit, not as much ground so that you're hitting your first volley as close to the net as you possibly can. It's all about balance and control. As you can see with Ian, he is very balanced as he's hitting this ball. And you can see all of the examples that I showed you today, no one was reaching out. Everyone was very balanced right after the split step, controlling their steps and moving forward so that you can really transition in to be able to get a ball like this while it's above the net. The only way that you're going to get this to transfer into match play and to be able to feel confident and comfortable in the middle of no man's land, hitting volleys and half volleys and moving forward and being able to just feel like you can control that no man's land area, is to practice it correctly. And one really good drill you can do is to just set up shop kind of in the middle of no man's land, just like where Ian is right here, and have someone just hit you volleys from this area. And so he's just going to continue to hit volleys, very controlled, really extending through the ball so that he can get depth on the ball, but just hanging out in this middle of no man's land area. The more you practice in that area, the more confident that you're going to be able to be when you're transitioning in. Whether you play singles or doubles, this is a really, really important thing that you can practice. Another way that you can do this is actually work on the transition from this area, work on being really calm, and see if you can make like 5 or 6 volleys by the time you get to the net. That's another really great drill that you can do to kind of work on that transition game. But the meaning of this is to understand that you do not have to always hit your first volley in front of the service line. And in fact, most high-level players hit their first volley from well inside no man's land area and behind the service line. And it's all about being balanced and controlled and transitioning in after that first volley and not hanging out in that area the whole time that you're playing in your match play. But again, this works for singles and doubles. Along with going out there and working on these drills in practice, you're going to see huge improvements and confidence going into your next match play.